All right, so welcome to another episode. Today we're going to take a look at Big Blue, or in other words known as IBM, and it's been around for many, many years. We're going to take a look at the stock. The stock has recently been trending higher quite a bit since December, although it's had a lot of weakness with Buffett selling off a large stake over the last year or so. Anyways, keep in mind, none of these are recommendations to buy, sell, or trade any stocks, just my own personal opinion. And let's kick things off, and let's just go to the charts and take a look at some technicals here. So if we really back this up on a monthly chart and just look at this stock, I mean, really, this thing started, and the tracking that we have here is from 1960 and 1965. So this stock was super cheap at that point. IBM, you know, they did a lot of computer-related things back in the day. So anyways, as we take a look at this stock trending, I mean, it's been overall doing fairly well. Looking at this, maybe about a 35, 40 degree angle here as we start moving to the upside. As you start zooming in recently, though, we've had a lot of trouble since 2013 because, I mean, it's all great from a longer term perspective, but as we get into 2013 here, we've really had a lot of trouble because it's kind of like the Kodak model, where, when they're too big, that ship is difficult to change and turn around, especially if they don't do a lot of investment. So here we have a channel where this stock is really just moving in this downward direction. And that's been a huge problem. Anytime it gets to these upper ends, it sells off. Upper ends sells off. We had some support on this channel, so this has been the buy points, but ultimately the trend has been to the downside. Now, one thing I will let you know is that if we look at around the 110, the $100 is a nice round number that you're starting to always look at. Hey, the stock, when they break past that, they usually hold the 100, but when they break below that, that can also be a problem. But you could see what happened here is we had a couple, this one instance here where we broke under the $100 level, but it still held kind of for the month. So the key support in this stock has been about that 110 price point. So as you draw this line and this trend pattern, people have been buying this up at about $110 per share. So it's been supporting around that level. And that's kind of what happened recently. So if we look at kind of the weekly area, and you just see from 2019, 2020, 2021, you're seeing that 110 come into play a couple times over the last few years. So ultimately, if you're looking from a longer term perspective, right, I'm saying 5 to 10 year time horizon, that 110 seems to be a nice, solid buying opportunity. And that's what people did, was right around 115, they started buying out some shares of this stock, really probably some hedge funds and so forth. But you still have to think about that longer term over multi-year period. The stock has been trending lower. So at the 110, it was getting into some support level. So if we look at kind of the daily here, and this is what's interesting, there's our 115 level right here where we started to get that bounce. The volume that's coming in here is not anything amazing. I mean, it's coming in, but it's nothing great, right? The selling pressure, we got to remember, the longer term still, selling pressure is still there. So even though we've had this shorter term December trend to the upside, this could also have been shorts taking some profits, some buyers stepping in, nibbling at the 110, 115 level, or trying to get into those lower levels. But that's where we get into this 140 again, and now we got into some trouble. That's because we had this gap earlier around October time. So we got into this gap, we filled it, and then we rejected it. So there's our resistance level, and that's been a problem here. And then we just started selling off. If you look at the trend then, and you see this breakdown here, the stock again broke down from the support and started to clear that level. So we're getting back into this 130 right now. Price pattern, how far down can it go? If we kind of look at the swing points, Fibonacci levels, let's just say, and kind of get an idea, we are at about a 50% pullback from the lows of 115 to these highs of about 142 or so. So 50% pullback is right around that 130. So this seems to be like a nice, medium swing kind of buying opportunity. If you're looking at kind of maybe a more safer entry, you could also wait for a larger pullback to the 61.8, which is right around 125, right there. And I can give you a more precise number, which is right also a support level in November over here. So that'll be about 125.33 or about 125 in general. So you're looking at those levels, basically 128.5 or about 125 is where those support levels are coming in. So for this trend, if you're thinking this might go with an ABCD pattern to the upside, That's what you're looking for, is that these levels are now starting to come into some buying opportunities. But keep in mind, this D point at the top, we're still trending on a longer time frame on the downside. So if I look at, again, the monthly chart, that's still trending downward. So I have to keep that in mind as you're doing the trade or the investment, because from a longer term perspective, we're still trending down. We're not turning this way to the upside. We're on the downward trend. It's just that the temporary last month data and price action has been pushing it slowly to this upside. Now, could we get this turnaround right here? So if we're kind of moving sideways and we're going to start turning around, we could. But for these big companies, it takes, decades to make a big shift or change, or just a change economically of people's needs to change. So in either case here, what's going to happen is we're going to see how it evolves, but ultimately the trend is downward on a longer term time frame. For the shorter term frame, if you're looking for kind of like a swing trade, we could have an ABCD pattern right here that's being created, but watch out for the D, because you're going to get into that longer time frame where you might have some trouble. So anyways, I hope this helps and gives you some insight on the stock. I mean, it's an older company, definitely. It's been around for many years, and it's got some good potential, obviously, if you're looking for a 10, 20, 50-year horizon maybe. But it is older, and that's why they call it kind of big blue, and it may not be the hot, awesome, amazing stock it once was. But for some stability, if that's kind of what you're looking for something at a cheaper level, but not a penny stock. This could be one that's, hey, maybe it's good to nibble for the long term. For the swing trade, from a nibble standpoint, you could say, hey, it's kind of getting back into that bottom area, 50% pullback. You could wait a little bit longer for a slightly bigger pullback to those 125 levels, and that could also be another area. Anyways, thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of the week ahead, and I will see you next time.